Hey everybody, sPidA here. Coming soon podcast, of course, coming to you with Larry Bones. Guest today, my man. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. Just right off the bat, of course, we are in Texas. Where about are you located at?
We're actually in Southern California. We're in Glendora, so it's
Oh,
just outside
nice.
of LA.
And the weather, man. How's the weather over there right now?
It's finally getting hot. It's been getting really weird weather, but now it's finally getting back to normal. So we're hitting the 90s. So it's not too bad right now. I know you guys are cooking.
Oh man, I was gonna say it because today actually I woke up this morning. I went outside for the dogs, and it was nice and cool. I was like, man, we've been hitting like 104, 105.
Woo, woo.
But yeah. But today is actually nice and breezy. So I said, man, it's gonna be a good day, man. Unfortunately, I got to go to work later, but other than
Yeah,
that, I'm good.
yeah, excellent. Good to hear.
So of course, I brought you in here for a few things, man, and one of them being this film. I'm gonna put the poster up right quick so people can see. But it is the Dark World of Oz. So tell us, where does this come from?
It's actually a project I've been working on for almost a year. It was actually August of last year. I just seen a post going by on Facebook of saying, "Oh, they're thinking about redoing the Wizard of Oz," and I made a random comment, "Hey, that would be really cool to do a dark version of Wizard of Oz," and people lost their mind. They started, "Oh, you got to do this! You've got to do this!" And just so many people were screaming at me. It's like, well, maybe I do need to do this. So, so I just started down and writing a script and taking it and getting cast on board and saying, okay, well, this is obviously everywhere I go. Everyone's going, yes, you got to make this film. You've got to make this film because it is eternally loved for years and years by adults and children. So that's where it started as a seed.
Okay. And of course, when it came to starting the film, of course, we've seen The Wizard of Oz, myself growing up.
Mhm.
But where does your storyline start? Did you have to start from scratch? Do you already have a thought as far as which way you were going with this?
I really wanted to take it into something more modern, but have some characters in it that are very familiar from the original story,
Oh,
but
yeah.
take it in a very different way. So, like our lead is not, Dorothy. It's actually a girl named Ozzie Diggs who has this troubled past, who has these really strange nightmares in this world that she creates in her head, and
Right.
that's where it starts in this thing. And she ends up getting involved in a walks in on a robbery and gets shot and ends up waking up in her own world with all these weird creatures that she's been dreaming throughout her life.
Oh,
So
wow.
you'll see like the versions of we have like the straw man, which is the scarecrow. We have a tin man, which is a gigantic metal robot. So we have very dark versions of all the characters that you know and love.
Nice, man. And of course, who doesn't love horror, right? So it's got a little kick to it, man. I think it's considered a fantasy horror film.
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly the way we tag it out.
Nice, bro. And of course, as far as production, man, is it still going on, or what's the what can you tell us about the film? Where's it at?
Well, actually, what we wanted to do is actually instead of trying to get the funding to shoot the entire thing, we figured we'd do an Indiegogo just to shoot the trailer. So we figured we'd pull some of the best pieces out of the script to shoot this 2.5 minute trailer that we have out there on YouTube right now. And it's like really, it kind of gets a taste for anyone who wants to be an investor or be interested in it to kind of know the direction we're taking it in. So that's what we did. So we shot that. So that's actually out on YouTube right now. And so we're actually out now trying to get more cast members, more named talent in this thing so we can get this funded so we can shoot this in its feature form.
No, and of course, with perks, man. Like Indiegogo, of course. I'm a fan of it. You're able to contribute some funds, and in return, get a couple of perks like poster shirts,
Yeah.
part in the movie, voice. Just depending on what's going on. But I think that's genius, man. Because of course, the more funds you guys collect, the more you can add to your film.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're shooting everything locally here in LA. So what we did is we shot most of this film on green screen at a place called Monarch Studios in downtown LA. So that's what was the idea we wanted to do, was create everything practical, all the characters, everything practical, and put it in this CG world. So most of the stuff you see in the trailers that way, and that's the intention for the film as well, is to shoot most everything in green screen.
Nice. And of course, because of that, you can add and subtract, right? You can change the background, you can change the scene.
Yeah, absolutely. It's completely open that way. It's completely open that way. And there's also this new thing we're actually looking at with like Mandalorian uses, where they're actually not green screen, but LEDs. So it's real time. So it's like the actors, you're seeing what's happening right there. You don't have to wait till later in editing to actually add the world, because it's there on when you're actually shooting on camera.
Oh, you mean so the actor can actually see what's going on right there and then? Oh man, that's
Yeah,
genius.
yeah. That's the new wave of what's happening now. So that's something I'm definitely looking into.
You see, and I think that works because a lot of times, I know a lot of actors, I'm sure they can, like they said, there's a fire over here. They can, okay, they kind of, but if they actually see it, they can act
Yeah,
a little bit more realistic, right?
Yeah, exactly. Don't look at the tennis ball. You know, look at the tennis ball. There's a fire. Imagine there's a fire. And yeah, I think it'll help the actor, and I think as a director, it'll also help me because I can see the world through the monitor. I can actually see what's happening right then and there. I don't have to wait till later.
No, no, of course, and of course, I should have done this in the beginning. But you are the director. You're the writer. Do
Yeah.
you also come out in the movie?
I'm not in the movie. I'm always a
okay,
behind the scenes kind of guy. They're trying to get me. Oh, you should be in this. You should be in this. Like, nah. I'll let the professionals take care of that.
There you go. There you go. And I only say that because a lot of times, even now, like we watch films and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, that was the director, being an extra in the back, and it's just they're working at a budget, so they need more bodies. They gotta throw them in there, right?
Right. Well, that's also a nice thing about green screen. If we do that route, yeah, you can multiply one character into 50 of them. So
yeah, I didn't even think about that too. But yeah, and of course, I mean, when it comes to the art, who's the mastermind behind the art on the creatures?
That's actually all pretty much me. So I've been doing special effects makeup for 30 years. So that's pretty much what I started out doing. So everything you see on there actually comes out of our shop, and any of the future stuff for the film will come out of our studio as well.
Nice, man. And of course, I mean, you have a creative mind, of course. So doing these characters, I mean, of course, when you build them, are they going to be the same as you see them in your head?
Yes, absolutely. Because when I'm writing, I kind of visualize what the character is going to look like when I'm writing it. So before I even get to the point of actually creating them, I have an idea what they're supposed to look like.
No. And of course, one of the things you mentioned earlier, I mean, as far as the actors and actresses, of course, involved in the film, can you give us some names of some of the people involved right now?
Actually, I have a new upcomer. Her name's Bailey Bobstein. She's actually Ozzy Diggs. So she's the lead in it. She's actually in every single scene in this thing. So I've tasked her with that, but she's a fantastic new actress. I've got Eileen Dietz, which is obviously Pazuzu from Exorcist. She's playing my evil Aunt Em. So Ozzy Diggs lives with her evil Aunt Em. They do not get along, and evil Aunt Em is actually always abusing this poor girl. Right. I got that. I've got a great actor named Michael Williams, who's Uncle Henry. I've got James Stokes, who was actually in several of. He was a Jason in one of the films, so he's playing the robber in it. You see in the trailer, and as well, he's playing the Beast, which is actually our cowardly lion, except for it's his horrifying werewolf creature. So we got him in there. I've got another up and comer who's named Trevor Newland. He's playing our straw man. He is 6'7". He was actually, I don't know if you're familiar. Amazon did a big campaign where there's a Yeti running around, and he's actually he's that. He's He's actually in Europe right now shooting a super secret project, and I'm not sure what it is, but when you're 6'7" and you're doing a horror project, I have a pretty good idea what he's up to, but I wouldn't spoil it. But those are our main names in it right now. But we have a pretty good large cast, but those are our main names in it right now.
No, you see, and I will say this because Eileen Dietz, of course, was here at a convention in San Antonio a while back, and she's actually the one that plugged you guys in. So she brought up the movie. I had to follow you guys right there and then, and of course, started learning more and more as the time went. But the Indiegogo, of course, the perks, are they still available? Are they still out there right now?
Not right at this point. That Indiegogo is closed because that was just to specifically get the trailer, but we're looking to get a new one up and running. I'm trying to attach some more name actors into it right now, so I'm in talks with other actors right now to try to get other key roles in there, things you haven't seen yet for some neat characters for it. So we're going to wait till we get locked down a couple more characters on it.
And of course, I mean, you brought up the straw man and the Beast. As far as the robot, did you bring him up as well?
Yeah, actually, we call him the Metal Man. It's actually, we have a performer that we created everything. He's a stilt walker, so he's like 9 feet tall when we got him into the costume. So we were, we wanted you had to be bigger and more intimidating than the 6'7" straw man. So how do you do that? You make a 9-foot robot.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, man. And now, of course, I mean, being the writer, director, and the special effects, as far as music, are you doing that as well?
Actually, I have a friend of mine who's actually Kyle Hartman. He's actually, I know him through Halloween Horror Nights, and he did the entire score and all the music for it. Fantastic. He's super talented. And actually, if you actually listen in on the very end of the trailer, you hear someone singing Over the Rainbow. And he actually worked with our lead, Bailey Bobstein, and she sang that piece. She's got an amazing voice, and they worked together to compose that piece of music. So I have that. So totally happy with it. Totally happy with it.
Nice. Well, I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to watch it again because I know I've seen the video plenty of times. So it's still up there. I've been sharing it and giving everybody a heads up as far as what's going on with the film. As
Appreciate it.
far as the new perks, I mean, if you guys do come up with the new Indiegogo, I mean, of course, I'm going to be looking out. Like I said, a lot of perks available. On the last one, I think it was like shirts and stickers and some as far as like
Mhm.
apparel. On the
Yes.
new one, I mean, do you have a mind as far as like what you're going to be looking for the new one?
Oh well, we did actually last time a couple roles actually in
Yeah.
it, and people really like that. Like I
Oh
can
yeah.
go do in a film for something like that. So stuff like that. I mean, I'm not really looking for like executive producers. I want someone that actually can get into it. And be part of the film as much as possible. Stuff like that. So I'll be looking for stuff like that. There are probably close to 200 creature roles in this thing. So I will be needing a lot of bodies.
Nice, nice. No, I'm definitely gonna be looking out because I've been enjoying them myself. I've been jumping in a few. I'll be looking out for yours because as well. I'm definitely interested in something with this film. The fact that it is still in the work, of course. You're still. Are you still writing, or is the story already set?
The story is pretty much set. I have just a little bit more dialogue to add to it, so it is pretty much set at that point. I'm actually, since it is done, I'm actually starting to write another one, another film project. I just started on the other day. I just always have to always constantly creating and stuff like that. But my focus is still on Oz.
Okay, but I mean, you say it's still writing. I mean, is this for a sequel or another film?
It'd be another film.
Oh,
That'd
okay,
be
okay.
another film. Even though people are saying, maybe a sequel, maybe sequel. I've got another project I've got to try to get off the ground a couple of years ago. People want me to do that. It's a vampire film. So and that script has just been sitting on the shelf ever since we shot the trailer for that just before COVID hit. So,
Oh wow.
so it didn't get off the ground. So it's sitting and waiting for that. But like I said, right now I think Oz is probably really the focus on it.
No, you see, and that's one of the things I tell people because when COVID happened to me, of course, pretty much the whole world shut down.
Yeah.
One of the little FYI, when the whole outbreak started, it was actually here in San Antonio.
Oh,
It was
was it
on
really?
base. Yeah, it was on Lackland Base right down the street from me.
Wow.
The people were tested. They tested negative. They went to North Star Mall, which is up north, and came out they were positive, and they shut down the whole mall. They shut down. I mean, it was just like
Oh,
when
man.
it was going on, we were like, man, like really, this is going on here, But it's crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank God we're getting past that. So getting back to somewhat normal.
I think somebody had posted the other day. They were like, "Man, well, COVID didn't work. Now they're using this smoke, coming from Canada, which is great. We're having a blast with that thing." But of course, when it comes to health and people actually, passing away and losing loved ones. I mean, that's never good. But I mean, it's
Yeah,
just the fact that we're over now, man, and hopefully, everybody seems like the wheels are in motion. Everybody's back to
yeah.
work. We're out there enjoying life, trying to. You see, well, for me, I mean, I'm a contract delivery driver, and I
Okay.
stayed busy the whole time. I mean, when
Yeah,
COVID was going on, I was wearing my mask, I was using gloves,
yeah,
delivering furniture, and I was like, man, it was like the busiest time for me, which I didn't say no to, but it was kind of surreal because at the same time when I go to people's houses, I'm like, hey, is anybody positive? Is that, been
yeah.
tested? And sometimes they were, and I'm like, I gotta leave it outside, like I can't take it in, and
I hear you.
yeah, they were okay with, but it was just like it was just funny or awkward that I had to ask, but it's like,
Yeah,
I didn't want to bring that stuff home with me.
right. I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. Yeah.
Uh, and of course, I mean, when it comes to writing, of course, you've been doing special effects. Was writing always part of that, or did you get into that after the special effects?
No, actually, I've actually been loved writing since I was a child. So it's something that's always been with me. I've always been creative and always have some kind of creative outlet. So once you start flowing in the writing, it just comes right out of me. It's just like once I start going, and then it's like I can't stop. So I'll stay up all night long. I just write, run the type and type and type, and so yeah, it's always been something I always enjoyed.
Okay, and you actually use a typewriter?
Well, no, not really. Typing
Oh,
on my
okay.
I start just with a pen and paper.
Right.
I like putting everything there, and then just once I think I've got enough, then I'll transfer it into my script program. So.
Oh, okay. I thought I was like, man, that's pretty cool, man. Actually, my stepdaughter got her a typewriter couple years back, man. And I told people like I was in that era back in the early '90s where I used to have pen pals like all over the world. I used to type
Nice.
and send letters and interview bands, and it was just like 2 3 weeks later, I get the interview. Here I am, putting it into a zine, man. So it's wild times, man.
That's
Now it's
great.
like here we are, across the states, and we're able to chit chat right away, man. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so cool.
And let me ask you, as far as your craft, I mean, because of the whole time span, I mean, like for myself, I was in high school photography. We used to do We used to actually have to what's that word? Like go in the dark room and develop our own film. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. It took me years when I finally started getting into digital to actually learn the whole digital aspect. I mean, I wish I would have picked it up earlier. But
Yeah.
for yourself, I mean, have you been evolving with everything?
Well, I to a degree. I mean, like I had a company called Zero Logic Productions who came in with the camera equipment, and like a guy named Gabe Merritt did my DP, and then a good friend of mine named Noah Pent was the camera operator who actually got me hooked up, and he did all the editing for me.
Oh,
Because so
no.
it's like, yeah, so it was like we were going back and forth. Of course, he'd say, "Well, what do you think about this?" And I'd, "Well, what about that?" So we go back and forth, but he did the bulk of the work of all the editing of it because that's a different world altogether.
No, no, no. You see, and I always tell people, especially with the podcast. I mean, I have my, our host Braxton. He couldn't be with us today. I mean, he's actually he's a fighter, so he's probably out there fighting traffic. Knowing him, but I know he had to go to work earlier than I did, but he did want to jump on. Of course, we'll definitely be reaching out later. But with him, I always tell him, for me, it's always like that. I always consider myself the singer of the band, where I just want to
Mhm.
carry a mic and turn it
Yeah,
on, and that's it. I don't want to know about this or
right.
none of that. It's just hard. Life is hard enough as it is, man.
Yeah, exactly. You hire the people who know what they're doing. That's surround yourself by talented people. You
There
know.
you go. There you go. And now, of course, when it comes to doing what you do you actually have classes yourself where you teach others?
I have in the past. It depends on
Okay.
what's going on, but yeah, I've had like workshops and have people come
Yeah.
in and like, hey, you want to learn how to make a rubber mask, or hey, you want to make fangs for your teeth, or whatever like that. So I do that from time to time.
Oh, nice, man. And of course, have you done that online, or has it always been like at a location?
It's been on location. It's been on our Boneyard studio for the most part because it's
Oh,
kind of tough
okay.
to do stuff online. I want everyone to be hands on, and I want to be there with
Right.
them on hands on. It just makes it a little bit easier, I think, for the instructor and the students.
Yeah, you see, I'm the same way. I always tell people I need somebody to be like, okay, this button, okay, hit now. You hit this button because
Uh-huh.
you told me left and right and in the center. I'm like, you lost me. I
Right.
can't. Does that make sense, though, man? I mean, hopefully in the future, man, could that actually be something I'd be interested in? Not to get in,
Yeah.
just to be able to say I can do it and actually, just mess around with it, man. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, now that we're past COVID and I can allow people back into my studio, so
No, no, definitely. And now, of course, I mean, when it comes to making, creating, making, and doing all this, are you a fan? Well, I mean, I'm sure you are. I mean, there's other people out there in the business that you're kind of like, wow, okay, you know what, I like his work, or
Mhm.
are there people out there that you still kind of follow, or maybe even newer to the game, and you're like, wow, okay, you know what, these people are doing pretty good.
Well, there's always, I mean, like my inspiration really kind of hit me for like horror films, like in the '80s when like American Werewolf in London came out. So it's like Rick Baker's like my god, So yeah, so I mean, yeah, but there's always up and coming people. There's always new studios coming out. I've got a friend of mine who started a company. You've heard of Immortal Masks? He was a guy who worked for me before, and he started his own company. He's actually his studio is like just a couple miles from here, and they've made it
Wow.
fantastic. They make beautiful silicone masks. They're amazing pieces of art and stuff like that. So his name's Andrew Freeman. His partner George Frickadankus. They're fantastic. So it's always anybody who's creative is always an inspiration for me. So everyone's got their own take on something, and you can always appreciate that, I think.
No, yeah, you see, and that's actually pretty cool. That I mean, obviously, you're still friends with them, right? I mean, you guys
Oh
still.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
You see, because a
Absolutely.
lot of times I bring that up because a lot of times, even like for myself, when I first started the podcast, I was doing the whole combat sports, thing with the media, media passes, photography, video. But when I got into the podcast, I had a lot of people that I knew, and I'm like, hey man, if you can come over and show me how to, what am I doing wrong? And everybody was okay with it, and I'm like, man, I'll pay you, like I'll give you money, and nobody will pop up, man. And I was just like, man, like that's almost as if they were afraid to share that knowledge. And I'm like, why? People ask me, and I'm like, bro, I don't. I'll teach you as much as I know, but I
Yeah.
mean, there's more people that know more, and
Yeah.
I'm more than glad to share what little knowledge I have, because it's like, hey, man, there's a couple podcasts out there myself that people started, from jumping on mine, and now they're doing theirs, and I'm like, dude, that's great, get it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. When I went to when I first moved to California, I went to a place called Joe Blasco Makeup Center, and actually after I graduated there, I taught there for 3.5 years. So I was in that teaching role for quite some time, and it's very enjoyable to be a teacher, instruct, and grow. And I think from that, why after I stopped working there, that I continued to do that. As much
Yeah.
information as I have is yours.
No, yeah, that's great, man. I definitely love and appreciate that because, like I said, I mean, they say knowledge is power, but you got to share that, man. I mean, of course, you never know which way they're going to go with it. I mean, like you said, everybody's got their own, as far as which, what they're trying to accomplish, and You know, it's art, man. So let it
Yeah,
go.
yeah, absolutely.
And of course, I mean, right now, this film. What other films are you working on? Can you tell us, or is this still under the?
Well, actually, I'm actually just in talks with some other projects right now. I have yet to lock down, and they're of course they're all NDA stuff like
Right.
that. So so I can talk about my own stuff. But that's about it. So like pause and
No, 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 for sure. And when it comes to your work, I mean, being special effects, have you gotten as far as like an artist? I mean, drawing comics. Have you been involved with anything like that?
I've enjoyed every aspect of art. I always have. When I grew up, I took every art class I possibly could, learning how to do sculpt and pottery and calligraphy and everything I possibly could. It's like a sponge, just suck up as much knowledge as I possibly could. So I tried to keep my fingers in everything as
Yeah.
possible, as possible. But there again, I mean, I know how to sculpt, but when it comes down to it, I want to hire the top sculptors. Even
Right.
though I know how to do it,
Right.
I'd rather have people that are better than me. And like I said, surrounded by people that are talented and sometimes more talented than you is sometimes the way to really rock it out. So
No, you see, and that too, because I mean, I'm sure you're busy with so much more. You know, you're the director,
yeah,
the writer. Now, it's like, hey, you know what? Let somebody else do the other jobs, and that way you can concentrate on the movie, right?
yeah, absolutely. For the first time, I mean, because I'm always been the makeup artist for 30 years, and now I hire a lead makeup artist, Jen Langley, and she hires her own crew. It's kind of like I don't have to worry about that. Here's
Nice.
all the prosthetics. You take care of that for the first time. So even though I'm a makeup artist by trade, I don't have to do makeup. I trust her and her fantastic crew. So it's unusual to relinquish something that you normally do, but it's actually very relieving because it allows me to focus on the other things like directing.
No, you see, and that's kind of good because, of course, I mean, they're reliable. You know, they're going to get the
Yeah.
job done and get everything up to par. When I was having the fight, media thing going, I mean, I still do, but it was hard for me to find work because I would bring other photographers or and at the end of the day, they're like, oh man, I'll get the film, later this week, and I'm kind of like, man, we need it today. Like
Yeah.
it's media. Like people see it a week later, they don't pay attention to it. So
Right.
it took me a while, but after I was just like, man, I was doing everything. I'm over here holding a camera and a video,
Uh,
and I
uh,
just figured why not, but yeah, it helps, man. I mean, it makes everything a lot easier. I'll definitely agree with that.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. It is because I mean, you when you especially when you're directing, you really don't want distractions. You have to stay focused in the box and the monitor and make sure that what's happening is exactly your vision.
Oh no, for sure. And of course, I mean, special effects, man. I mean, can you tell us a rundown of some of the best or your favorite movies? I guess you can say that you've been involved with.
Oh wow, that's years and years and years of things. I think the very first movie I did after I got out of school was Murder in the First with Kevin Bacon and Christian
Oh,
Slater.
nice.
So I walked right into a big movie set and stuff like that, and it was cool because it was the first time I'd actually been on a professional movie set. So that one always sticks with me. But then I
Nice.
started getting involved with other stuff. I started doing prosthetics. I opened up my own studio and started running foam for other studios. So like I did all the foam work for like Shallow Hal, like Gwyneth Paltrow in the fat suit, stuff like that. I did some stuff for Scary Movie too. There's like the weird.
Yes.
I did the little hand for that and the fighting cat and stuff like
No
that.
way, dude. Oh, good.
So I did a long run of doing stuff like that. I did work on this foam stuff for Snoop Dogg's Bones movie. So I did a lot of stuff at that point. And I worked in a lot of films until 2006 when they hired me at Universal Studios to run their Halloween Horror Nights. I did all the makeup and monsters for that for 11 years. So that kind of took me out of the film world because it started becoming a year-round job because we did the entire
Yeah.
build in the studio and then did all the location stuff and then took a month break and then started over again. So it really stopped me doing film for 11 years. And so when in 2016, when it was time for me to get out and get back into the film world, I needed to do that. So it's just been the last 2 years, and I've pretty much been focusing on my own stuff. I've done some other small budget stuff for other people, but no big name stuff at this point. So I'm really just focusing in house.
Right, right, and I gotta tell you because of course the whole little prosthetic hand, that's iconic, man. I mean,
Right.
anybody, it's like you bring that up, and it's like, dude, like my other hand,
You grabbed my strong hand. Yeah.
Was that a cast? I mean, do you still have that?
No, unfortunately, I do not. That's long gone. But I, I still have one of the cat heads around here somewhere. But the foam is rotting and it's coming apart. This stuff only lasts.
Oh man. No, no, for sure. And that's one thing I always tell people. I mean, I've always been a fan of. I mean, when it comes to parodies, or different versions of a movie, I'm always like, man, because I mean, being a comic book kid, growing up, I always the Marvel that What If,
Mhm.
and they give you a different story, and I was just like, man, and then I used to read those, love reading them because it kind of opened up my mind to like possibilities as far as what if this happened, or what if she didn't die, or what if, and
Yeah.
and is this kind of what this is? I mean, as far as your version of the Wizard of Oz.
Um, I don't know if it would take quite go that route. It's just kind of just taking it and modernizing it and just making it something more relatable to youth. Because it is basically a story. Oh, sorry, something hopping on my screen there. Make that go away. Just something that I don't know, just a modern take on it. It's just something a modern take, and then really just making it, starting it out with, a new story and just progressing. And I don't want to spoil too much in the thing,
No,
but
no, no, not at
it's
all.
kind of like, it's kind of like her she's coming to find out who Ozzy Diggs really is, and it's coming through this story of trying to go through these creatures that she's come up in her head and that don't necessarily have her best interest at heart, and some of them just outright want to murder her. So it's
Oh,
kind
wow.
of almost like big bosses in a video game. Each one gets bigger and harder and more difficult, and it turns into quite a bloodbath. So.
Oh man, okay, now I'm definitely interested in it. That's for sure. No, of course, one of the things, and the reason I was asking earlier if there was kind of like your interpretation of what if is years back they were talking about the Star Wars film with Han Solo when he was in that cryogenic gel, and they
Right.
were like, man, what if he was the whole time he was there, he was dreaming about Indiana Jones, like that was just like in his dream.
Oh, got you. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
and so
awesome.
when I read that, I was like, oh damn, like wow, okay, you know what? Like it kind of now I kind of like play around with actors because I'm like, dude, like that's the same guy from this movie, and like what if, it's just
Yeah.
it's interesting. But of course, the fact that you guys can come out here and make these your interpretation as far as like how you see the film, especially now. I mean, I think that's brilliant, man. I like it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's a really cool twist at the end of it too. So, like I said, I can't tell you anything, but there's a really
Right.
unique twist at the very end of it. It'll go, oh, I never saw that coming.
No, you see, you gotta have that though. Of course, every movie's got to kind of hook you in just in case. That
Yeah,
might be a sequel, might not.
yeah,
We won't know yet, but
yeah,
it'd be cool.
absolutely.
And of course, I mean, like you said, I mean, it's you guys did the trailer. As far as the next Indigo, I mean, that would indicate when you're gonna start filming. I mean, once that set.
It's actually soon, very soon.
Okay.
I was really hoping to be able to shoot this thing before maybe by spring. I mean, by the fall, early fall. So
Okay.
that gives me the summer to try to get the money together. And like I said, I'm shooting everything at Monarch Studio. I've already got that place secured, so I have my location and stuff like that. It's just now it's just getting the money.
No, and I'm sure it'll come, man. I mean, especially with the actors that you have on there. I mean, of course, people are fans of them, so they're gonna want to jump in and be a part of this. I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a little bit easier with this Indiegogo having the trailer because when we first did the Indiegogo, we had nothing other than just some conceptual art and things like that. They had nothing really for them to see, and now they can see exactly what we're doing.
No, yeah, of course. And for those that are out there, I mean, of course, they want to see what instead of I'm making a movie, I need money. I mean, they want to see something, right? So of course, that's
Yeah,
what you got delivered.
exactly.
Man, and of course, I mean, man, I do appreciate you jumping on this. Like I said, I mean, Braxton couldn't jump on this today, but maybe after the film is set, man, or you can jump back on and we'll bring you on and see when we can watch this.
Absolutely, sounds like a plan.
No, for sure. And of course, let me post a photo poster right quick just for those watching. I mean, this is going to be for the Dark World of Oz, of course. And my man, I appreciate you. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap this up, bro?
Oh, I just like anyone to just check out our trailer. Just take it. It's 2.5 minutes long. I don't know if you can see that, but
Oh yeah. I'm gonna post a link on this, so for sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just go check it out, and then just give us some feedback. Tell us what you think. That would really be appreciative.
No, not of course, and of course, everybody out there. Of course, once again, Larry Bones. This is sPidA, the Coming Soon podcast. Till next time, follow up.
Thanks.